Today I want to talk about what I believe might have dethroned the Breaker as the #1 primary weapon in Helldivers 2. As most of you may know, there was a recent balance patch that aimed to adjust meta stratagems and weapons so that the game was more balanced and more of the game's content was viable. Well, the Breaker took a big hit to its ammo economy, a part of the gun that already wasn't fantastic, and while I think the Breaker is still just as good in the damage department as it used to be, I found myself really struggling for ammunition in level 9 content, especially if multiple people on the team are running it. Now because of this, other weapons have had the chance to step into the spotlight, and today we'll be talking about one of those weapons, the Slugger. Let's get into it. So the Slugger is a pump-action slug shotgun. Unlocked on page 8 of the regular Warbond, this shotgun is able to penetrate both light and medium armor, despite only listing light armor in the weapon description. Now admittedly, this thing lacks the crowd control that you get with something like the Breaker, but the precision damage that this thing can output to medium or large targets is insane. The Slugger deals around 280 damage per shot, which is enough to take down most small to medium targets in only one bullet. Now because the shotgun is a slug, that means it can be used at incredibly long range, and the high damage that each shot makes this thing a must-have against automatons in high-level gameplay, since their weak spots are usually exposed. Now don't get me wrong, the Slugger is still fantastic against the Terminids, being able to pop the heads of most smaller units in one shot, while each shot actually pushes back armored units like Brood Commanders. Now if you are running with multiple people or with different loadouts, or perhaps someone on your team is carrying a supply pack, then I think the Breaker could still outclass the Slugger in some cases during level 9 Terminid missions. The Breaker allows you to be on the move constantly, since you can output over 4 times the damage that the Slugger can in very quick succession to a large group of enemies. Now I found that against Terminids, the Slugger can be really annoying if you get swarmed by smaller units, since you have to hit each one with an individual pump action slug, but those issues can be fixed by bringing along either a Stalwart, an Arc Thrower, or even just swapping to your secondary SMG. I do believe that something a lot of players misunderstand about the weapons in Helldivers 2 is that your secondary or third weapon should complement your primary if you want to be the most effective. That means if you're taking the Breaker, then maybe take the Revolver as a secondary to dish out some heavy hitting medium range shots to larger targets, while people who take the Slugger can bring along an SMG as a secondary to take care of those smaller swarms of enemies. Now the other day we received a patch that changed up the difficulty in higher level content by reducing the number of Bile Titans and charges that pop up. This was because players were complaining about how many Titans and charges there were near the end of Helldive difficulty missions. It's a bit of a skill issue if I do say so myself, but it is what it is. But because of these changes, they are balancing out the difficulty by increasing the amount of other enemies that will appear during these missions. This simple change has made the Slugger even stronger, almost like an indirect buff, as there is no weapon better at dealing with Brood Commanders, warriors, stalkers, and spewers. Being able to stun a stalker or Brood Commander is borderline overpowered, and it can save yourself or your teammates way more than you think. I do think the Slugger is a hidden gem and an absolute beast. To make the Slugger absolutely shine, all you'll need is to take stratagems that can cover crowd control, whether it's a Stalwart or an Arc Thrower, or even a Flamethrower for you crazy Flamethrower fans out there. I do highly recommend the gun in the current state of the game. Go and try it out if you haven't already, and do let me know what you think. Do you think there's another gun in the game that is better than the Slugger and the Breaker? If you do, please drop a comment down below so I can go and give it an in-depth look. We did just get 3 new weapons in the new Warbond, so I'm currently testing those out in all levels of content, and I am excited to see how they stack up against the rest. If you enjoy these quick form videos, please consider dropping a like. I'll see you guys on the front lines. For democracy, for Super Earth, peace.